dig a little deeper on this a little later on to see if you think that the guy may be Dan Campbell. But we got to get to this week's game. The Dolphins are inviting in the Dallas Cowboys, the return of Tony Romo, and I'm sure the first guy he wants to face coming back from a broken collarbone is Sue. That is, and
Sue's had some monster game against Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and he's been looking like his old self again lately, hasn't he? No? That's the team? The team he was facing?
It was the team he was facing. I looked at that film, and I didn't see anything special that he was doing. I mean, he was beating his one-on-one blocks. When I studied Sue the previous 2 seasons before he became a Dolphin, I saw that he was winning on just clear-cut wins and victories on 10 plays, 10 of the 50 or 40 plays that he played in a game. He won. Everything else can be a stalemate, but I'm talking about clear-cut wins. Yeah. The Eagles game was probably the first time I'd seen him win at that level. Okay. But I've said it consistently all season. While we have these lofty expectations for Ndamukong Suh because of his $114 million price tag, and I say that number every time, and it always sounds ridiculous.
You have to. It's one of those numbers that sticks in your head.
Yes. Everybody else on his defensive line is not producing well. Everybody else on his defensive line isn't winning one-on-ones. Now, last week against the Eagles, Olivier Vernon won more. Yeah. Derek Shelby won more. I can't say Earl Mitchell won more. C.J. Mosley won more. And Chris McCain provided that big sack that basically concussed Sam Bradford. Yeah.
And Dallas is probably thanking him for that. The Eagles, you know, they still think they have a chance here.
Now, if Chris McCain hurts Tony Romo, I'm sure they won't be thankful for it.
No.
But yeah, you've got to get and what people don't understand is the pass rush, the defensive line sets the table for everybody else. It sets the table for the linebackers, who clearly have not been eating very well. And it sets the table for the secondary. If Brent Grimes and Bryce McCain and Jamar Taylor have to cover all day and the quarterback's not under any pressure, look at the Jacksonville Jaguars game for an example, and the quarterback could just sit there all day and pick his defense apart. No cornerback can cover for forever. So the defensive line playing better than they played in previous weeks, that was definitely a step in the right direction.
And there's no question they have to stop the run against this Dallas team, right? But Tony Romo's going to look for to be able to loosen up, get some passing going as well.
I definitely say stopping the run is the priority #1 because Romo is going to do what he does, even if rusty or not. Des Bryant is going to do what he does. Jason Witten, have you stopped the tight end all season other than Charles Clay in game #2 against the Bills? No. And especially with this linebacking core. So you got to expect that they're going to attack you from a passing standpoint, but you got to make them a one-dimensional team by stuffing the run.
This is a battle of 2 teams who love finding ways to lose, isn't it? Like
I don't know if the Dolphins find ways to lose. They just can't find ways to win.
Okay.
And Dallas is just bitten by injuries. And when you lose your starting quarterback, how good of a team? You're trying to win with Matt Castle. You know, Matt Castle and Brandon Weeden. Yeah. Like how good are you going to win?
Well, we have some more questions here. Matthew Lee, he asks, has Tannehill finally learned how to throw the deep ball? I'm curious what you think about this. I think 14 completions is the stat I came up with on 44 attempts, over 20 yards, couple touchdowns, one drop.
That's his entire career. 14 completions in 1 year of deep ball play, a big play production. Yeah. I think he's definitely made drastic strides. We're getting 1 a game.
Right.
He's got the same kind of deep ball numbers or big play numbers as the Drew Breeses of the world.
Yeah.
That's a step in the right direction. Now, would we love to see him make progress in other directions? Absolutely. 3rd down, red zone, 4th quarter. You get those fixed along with your big play production, you're making a step in the right direction.
There are other fish to fry. You're right, but
yes.
we are still at the point where every time he throws a deep ball, without fail,
it's catchable.
Twitter is a deep ball. Can you believe a deep ball? Like it's almost a phenomenon when you see him.
When you don't see it for 3 years, when you're starving, every little drink of water is delicious.
I am thirsty, thank you. Let's get to our next question. Erod, not to be confused with A-Rod, asks, why do you think this defense struggles versus screens, not screams. They can scream all they want, but screens and 3rd and long.
They are bad linebackers. I have a hard time justifying it. Koamisi is just an average, adequate linebacker. There's nothing special that he does. Jelani Jenkins, I think he's regressed from where he was last season. Last season, I thought he was one of the better coverage linebackers in the NFL.
Right.
He covered tight ends well. He covered scat backs well. This year, nothing. And he's not sniffing out the run. I just think you need to completely overhaul that linebacking unit moving forward to get better.
Quick and easy answer there. And Peter, this question I'm intrigued by as well, and I'll rephrase the question. Is Jordan Cameron still on this team? Is he still on the team? He wants to know, why hasn't Jordan Cameron been more involved up to date?
Jordan Cameron has now a hamstring injury. Before it was something else. It was a groin.
Yeah.
He's nicked up. I hate that term, but I use it anyway. I in fact noticed that the third string tight end, Jake Stonebrenner, played a significant amount of snaps for Jordan Cameron because he's limited in terms of what he can do, so he only works in certain packages. So you're not seeing him on the field all the time, but you just haven't realized that. But yes, does Ryan Tannehill need to connect with him on the seam routes? They have horrible chemistry, and it shows in the games.
As far as Cameron goes, I mean, he said earlier that earlier in the season, I mean, we saw him with what, 80 receptions one year.
He's not even close. He's on pace for like 30 receptions.
He's more of he's been blocking quite a bit. But
he signed a 2-year, $15 million contract with the Dolphins, and I highly doubt he's going to be here in 2016 for $7.5 million.